Right, hi guys, Michael here from Christ of England. A real quick video, an important video today because I learned something very valuable today, and it is about our young leftists and all these young kids at the Free Palestine, Just Stop Oil, and all these protests like the Antifa. And a lot of them are young, and some of them seem like a bit mental. And you see people like having arguments with them, and they don't seem of sane mind. We all know that. And I was speaking to my friend today, who's a psychologist. He's been a psychologist for over 10 years, I mean, day off work. So we met up and we always have great conversations. And I was saying to him about, like, we talk about mental health and depression. And I was saying how, it makes sense that people have depression and mental health problems these days because society is sick. And it's the Yogananda quote of, it's no sign of good health to be well adjusted to a sick society. So I was saying, like, we can't really treat the individual as much as we need to treat society. What I was saying is, if we fix society, then the people will naturally get healthy. And he was saying, yes, he somewhat agrees, and that psychology is going that way. But what they're doing is they're corrupting those teachings. And that what they're telling the youth is that, yes, society is sick, but the problem is capitalism, it's colonialism, it's men in terms of, feminism. So they're taking something that's true and corrupting it and using it for the leftist agenda. And we now see that this leftism, Marxism, is corrupted everything in our society. The education system, the psychology system, the health system, the news, everything. And this is what ideological subversion is and cultural Marxism is. It seedily gets into every part of society and life. And if you look at it, it's actually incredibly sad that this world is a bit messed up at this moment in time, and young kids are being raised, let's say, in a broken home. Let's say you get this young girl who's raised in a broken home and she's got mental health problems. So she then goes to get mental health help from a psychologist. And the psychologist says, well, yeah, don't worry, there's nothing wrong with you. It's society, which is somewhat true. But then she corruptly says to them, it's because of capitalism and colonialism and because of institutionalized racism or whatever. And then they throw them off the way of getting healed because they teach them that to overcome your mental health problems is to go and fight the system. And once you bring down the corrupt system, then you'll be healthy again. Or you can help society. So what they've taken, they do what evil does so well. They take a truth, a spiritual truth, and corrupt it for evil. And it's similar in the ways of, like, yes, we should love everybody in the world and we should try and help the poor and anybody in the world when possible. But they take that loving thing and say, yeah, we need open borders and we need to let everybody in the country, even if they could be from terrorists and the third world and they could cause all the problems. But we know we to be loving, which is just naive and stupid. You've got to have laws and sensible immigration policies. But they've taken a beautiful message of, loving everybody. We all agree on that. But then loving everybody and accepting everybody doesn't mean having open borders and wrecking your country. So they take a good message of how you can help people with mental health. And what we should be doing is teaching them that the system we're in is broken, but it's because we need to focus on spiritual values. And we've fallen into liberalism and secularism rather than traditionalism. But they don't want to teach people about traditionalism. They want people stuck in the liberal, cultural, Marxist agenda. And what my mate also said that struck me very strongly is he said, Mike, 9 out of the 10 psychologists I work with are leftists. So if you think about it, 90% of our youth who are suffering mental health are going to psychologists who are basically lefties. And rather than helping our youth, they're making them even worse by sending them to blimmin' Just Stop Oil and becoming radical feminists. So what we need to do is we need to change our thinking. All these people who like to do these videos and go to these Antifa and all these rallies and arguing with them and then putting YouTube videos, oh, look how crazy they are. Yes, we know they're crazy because they've got mental health problems. What we need to do is protect them and fight for them because they are our brothers and sisters and they're suffering in this world, and then their suffering is being pounced upon by evil, and then we're going against them and fighting them and arguing with them pointlessly. What we need to do is stop them from being brainwashed here. If we can bring them to Christ and the truth of God early and traditional values early, we can protect their spirit from birth. That's the ideal scenario, and raise them with that spiritual seed that will grow and they'll naturally flourish as a plant does. That's the best thing we do. And then, if they have been born into a dark family and they've been corrupted by the world and fallen into depression, we need to get to them there. And don't let them fall to the psychologists who are going to corrupt them further. So if they can come to us, if they can come to someone like me and my mate and come to our way, which is the way of Christ and the way of central politics. Like my mate says he's a small c conservative. He's a sensible man. And he can look at things through the psychological lens of just trying to help their mental health, not with a political agenda like all the leftists have. So if they come to us, then they can be helped correctly, rather than corrupted and then thrown to the lions of the blooming political system to do the bidding of the corporate, corrupt, evil elite. So we need to change our tactics. Don't go to the end part where we fight them. We need to love them from the birth, raise them with traditional spiritual values and maintain their spirit and help it evolve like a seed, as I said. And then we need to give them good spiritual and mental health advice from people who haven't been indoctrinated by Marxist leftism. And then we can fight for our youth, and we need to stop sending them to university. If you're 18, you see this video, trust me, don't go to university and get brainwashed into a cult. It's incredibly sad. You see many cases like 18-year-old young women, beautiful young women, innocent, happy, smiling. You'll see a photo of it. I'll put some on the screen now if I can. Of just like beautiful, young, happy young women, 18, 19 years old. And then 4 years later, they've been indoctrinated into leftist ideology. You know, they've shaved their head. They've got all sorts of piercings, tattoos. They've probably picked up a drink and a drug addiction. And instead of going in innocent and happy, they come out angry at the world. And, you know, they're just an absolute mess. And they've been completely ruined by the system. We don't send them into university. And they just protect them because they're getting brainwashed and put in debt and a slave to the system. We need to fight for them with the power of the Spirit of Christ. And that's what the Christ of England is all about. It's all about helping our youth, our country, and even our world with the power of the truth, the power of the Spirit, and the love of the Father. And when that love shines out from us and we help them rather than corrupt them further like all these worldly psychologists, cultural Marxists, leftists, psychos do. And even fair to them, they're innocent children who've been corrupted into the psychologist system. So they were taught psychology from the Marxist point of view. So even the way they're victims. And our enemy is the leftism rather than people. So if we look really deep, there's no real enemy. It's a spiritual war in a way between the Spirit of Christ and the enemies of Christ. There's anybody who just doesn't know the truth. Okay, so that's pretty much the point of my video today, to get the message out there of how our youth are being corrupted. And we need to change our way of thinking. Forget about politics. We need a spiritual revolution to win hearts and minds of our youth and all the people in the country. And once we bring them to the light, that's how we win the battle, rather than all this voting and nothing changes because we just argue and it's all just immature stupidness. But if we think deeper and more profoundly, we can use our wisdom to overcome with the love of the Father. Okay, that's part of my video today. Share this video with as many people as you can so they know what's going on. To protect our children, don't send them to these psychologists. Don't send them to universities. Be very careful what you're doing with our youth. We need to protect them. And subscribe if you're new. If you want to support the movement, all you need to do is subscribe for now. I want to get the numbers up. Like the video if you like it. Comment below if you've had any experiences that are similar. If you went to a psychologist and they've made you worse, or what's been going on for you. And for now, God bless everybody. Let's keep going and recover this country with the power of the Spirit and the love of the Father. God bless everybody. Goodbye.